Hello everybody, welcome to Mean Fit and Lean. If you're new, please hit that like and subscribe button. Well, today I'm going on kind of a rant, okay? I'd like to talk about so-called conservative pundits and how they turn into anti-obese SJWs. Virtue signaling anti-obese SJWs. Well, first of all, folks, let's say I have some good news for y'all. If you're an American, United States of America is not the fattest country in the world. Oh no. We're not even in the top 10. We're something like on the, well, I think we're number 10. But the fattest countries in the world are somewhere over the Middle East or something. And by the way, they eat plant-based diets, okay? Just food for thought. But actually, Americans are not the fattest. For once, we're not number one in something. Oh. But there's an element here, folks, of these people that go around. Now, first of all, let me say, I'm not for fat acceptance. I'm anti-fat acceptance. I believe obesity is unhealthy, and you shouldn't be obese. It's not it's not good for you, folks. It's just common sense. I mean, there's always too much of a good thing. Now, I know where I live, folks, I don't see a lot of fat people in the city. I do see some big bottom people in the suburbs. I see a lot of big bottom people, mostly black women who are getting their fried chicken. But I don't really see many big bottom people in the city or obese people. I see mostly drugged up hipsters and homeless people. But that aside, there are these people like Steven Crowder and this girl, this Australian girl with a boy's name. What is her name? I think Sydney Watson is her name. Yeah, Sydney Watson. So Sydney Watson, who's not even that pretty, by the way, folks, she made a big to-do about sitting next to a fat girl on a plane, and so much so that she wants to sue the airline. I was reading this thing, but she's acting like them. She's acting like a liberal SJW because she's making such a big to-do over nothing. And like virtue signaling to the hilt. I'm so morally superior than you. I'm better than you. I'm lean and fit, or I'm not fat like you. This is what SJWs do. Like, I'm not racist like you. I'm not a bigot like you. Do you see the connection, folks? And Steven Crowder's the same way. He makes such a big deal about fat people all the time, saying it's so easy to lose weight. And then he realized, no, it's not so easy to lose weight. He had to go through all this heart surgery. And he put on weight, and it wasn't as easy as he thought it would be. He struggled to get the weight off, to get back to his lean physique. You know, he's so proud of his lean physique. So, but these people, folks, are just like liberal SJWs to me because they're virtue signaling about their righteousness, and how much better they are. And oh, shame on all you fat people. You fat people, we're gonna look at your BMI. We're gonna scan your BMI. We're the nanny state. You can't eat this, you can't eat that. We're gonna tax fat people. We're gonna tax, ban sugar. We're gonna ban cookies. This is what liberals do. This is not conservatism. But what I understand, folks, is that, well, you can't hate the gays. You can't be anti-LGBTQ. You can't be racist, which, by the way, racism doesn't really exist. You can't be racist. But who's left to hate? The fat people. Fat people are the problem. And by the way, folks, as I said before, I'm not saying that being obese is healthy or good, but it's like you go from one extreme to the other. You're going from, health at every size to what? You're 10 pounds overweight. I'm going to have to pay for your wheelchair. What? You're 12% body fat? That's too high. It's not good enough. It's like even being mildly overweight. But these people complain about the obesity epidemic. And yes, we do have a problem with obesity. There are too many fat people, and we do have to watch it. But I'm not saying that this is not just a case of being obese. It's is obesity just a question of being fat and lazy? Or is it that it's very complex because you have all these diets, all this conflicting information out there, folks? You have the keto diet, you have the carnivore diet, you have the vegan diet, you have the, chicken rice diet, you have the fasting diets, whatever. So you have to, like, if you're a fat person, you're looking around, shopping around, and you have to find out what works for you, and it could take years to find out what really works for you, because if you're doing it even slightly wrong, the body will adapt and you won't lose weight. And it's just very, very complicated. They're saying, just diet and exercise. Well, we know that's not true. It's more than just diet and exercise. Well, it is that, but it's also complex mechanisms. They've known since the 1970s that the body has set points. So just like a thermostat. So when you're obese, your body's turned to that thermostat. You're cut on to that thermostat, and it's very hard to undo that. You have to change all these mechanisms that maintain homeostasis. But here you have conservative people like Sydney Watson, who's not that pretty, and Steven Crowder going around complaining about fat people all the time, like they're the holier than thou people, self-righteous people, making such a big deal out of nothing. If they're real conservatives, they would not be acting this way. Conservatives don't act that way. We're not that kind of people. We don't sue things. This is something liberal SJWs would do. Like, it's just the same people, like the people that whine about fat phobia would create a lawsuit over nothing. But this girl, Sydney Watson, who had to sit next to a fat girl on a plane, thinks it's the end of the world, and she has to make an example of this. And I'm doing the world a favor. I'm standing up for health. I'm really concerned about your health. That all these fat, people that are anti-obese, I'm really concerned about your health. No, you're not. No, you're not. You just want to pick on somebody. I heard a story about this lady who gained a whole bunch of weight because she had surgery after a car accident. She put on like 80 pounds or something, and she had to use a cane. So this man felt it was his job to walk all the way across the street and scream in her face and say, "If you just lose some weight, you wouldn't have to use a cane." I'm sure she's aware of that, sir. Maybe you should lose weight. Maybe there's a lot of things about you that you need to fix before you go around criticizing other people. And I remember, folks, several years ago when I was at the monument, and the first thing people did in the comment section was criticize my weight. Oh, he really chunked up during quarantine. I put on a lot of weight. People didn't recognize me at first. So, oh, Mean Skelton really put on a lot of weight over quarantine. Look how fat he is. I bet that's the most exercise he gets, running up to the statue. Oh, look at me. I'm virtue signaling about how, so these are liberals, right? Mostly liberals who complain, who talk about inclusion and how much they love everybody and accepting of everybody. But heavens forbid, attacking my looks, and like they did on that Jewish podcast where they thought I was a good singer, but you never know to look at him that he has a voice like that. Backhanded compliments, and then people wonder why I'm obsessed with my looks. Well, you try going through almost your whole life being called ugly. Maybe 2 years or 3 years I was called very handsome, and the rest of my life ugly, and you see how you handle it. But these anti-fat virtue signaling SJWs are doing the same thing that fat acceptance people do. They're just flipping the script. So instead of saying, your health at every size, they go around and they're policing everybody. They're policing what people do, saying some people say just fat people existing is promoting obesity. That's the same thing liberal SJWs say. They say just white people existing promotes racism. They're the same people. They're doing the same thing, but they can't see it. They think they're conservative. They're not conservative. There's nothing conservative about body shaming people. That's not a conservative thing. That's actually kind of a jerky thing. But it's there's nothing conservative about it. So anyway, folks, I just had to make this video because I noticed a trend in what these people do about, virtue signaling, and like it's their mission in life to go around and police everybody's, fat people and say, and lump them in, because yes, a lot of fat people probably do eat too much, but there's a lot of people that aren't fat that are gluttons. I know this is hard for people to understand, but there's a lot of people who aren't fat who have terrible diets. And probably, granted, they're not going to live very long, but there's some very thin people who eat terrible diets. But because it doesn't show on their person, nobody knows, right? Nobody knows, so they don't get attacked for it. People who are meth addicts and alcoholics, when you have a food addiction, you're called fat and lazy. When you have a meth addiction or an alcohol, oh, you poor thing, you have an addiction. We must talk about the opioid crisis. Oh, these poor people, they can't help it. They're caught in addiction. If you're addicted to food or you like too many cookies, you're fat and lazy. Get over yourself. You're scum. You're subhuman. You don't deserve to live. You can't control yourself. Stop eating. That's what you get. That's what you get. It's this warped mentality that I've encountered over the years when I've been trying to lose weight and get healthy. And it's not going to help people. Folks, when I was bullied in school for my weight constantly, it didn't help me lose weight. It made me want to eat more because of the stress and the psychological torment. It made me want to give up. So when you go around calling people fat and lazy and saying they're slobs and they're this useless, it's not going to help them lose weight, and you're defeating the whole thing. The point is to help people lose weight. If you want to help society and help people lose weight, you can't just point out all their flaws. That's not going to help. Anyway, folks, enough of me ranting, but I had to make a point about these so-called conservatives going on rants about fat people, because I'm just, pardon the pun, folks, but I'm fed up, fed up with these people. So I hope this finds y'all well. Go to my website at meanskeletonsplace.com, and remember, folks, say a prayer for someone special today. Bye-bye.